Folks, when I first saw this book right here, I genuinely thought this was parody or satire, some type of joke, right? This is something you find from the Babylon Bee or the Onion or something like that. In my daddy's belly. Like, really? In my daddy's belly. Ain't no way. That's a book that has been published, that is being sold to real human beings. Nah. Well, it turns out that not only is it not satire, but it is a children's book that is being promoted and pushed to children. Now, what exactly is this book about? Well, it's pretty much in the title. It's about how men can give birth to. Now, that's not even what we're getting into today. We're getting into something even crazier, more vile and more disgusting than exactly that. And that is, well, I'm going to just let this play out for y'all. And you can come to your own conclusion about how you feel about it while I tell you exactly how I feel about it. So without further ado, let this mother speak on what has been taking place in her children's school campuses.
I wanted to speak today because, as you all probably know, we have been challenging several books. I just got back a denial of one of my challenges for the book's Haters. So I'm going to read some to you. She guided me.
Now, for everybody out there, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. It's disgusting. It's vile. Not just for a child, but even for an adult. Like, I'm the type of dude who I fast forward through certain scenes and movies or whatever it is, because I'm not trying to see all that. I don't watch that type of content. I cut that out of my life years ago. So again, I just want to warn y'all. But I'm showing y'all this because I'm honestly on a one-man campaign to completely obliterate this thing that has been known as the education system, aka the indoctrination system, that has been hijacked by these far-left lunatics, by these progressive, these so-called liberals, whose number one purpose is to have our kids be so perverted that they become exactly like them. So again, I'm doing this with that purpose in mind, but this is not for everybody's ears. And I'm going to have to block out like 30% of what's even being said. But just mind you, kids are reading this. And this woman wanted this book to be removed. And essentially, she lost that fight. So this is what they want your kids reading.
Onto my back and pulled the bottom of my briefs. And I pushed them over my knees and my feet. And I was completely naked and not at all. She straddled me and pulled me on top. Pulled her top off and her breasts flopped out, and I heard them more than I saw them. She reached behind herself and kindly and carefully took my not hard dick into one, and pretty soon I couldn't really think about anything else. And pretty soon after that, I was hard, and she took her hand away, and I heard opening a little crinkly package, and I felt her put the cool plasticky middle of the snugly on the front of my dick, like she was shrink wrapping it. And I felt her fingernail.
When I was coming up, you couldn't even say 80% of these words in a classroom. Now they're having the kids reading this in their books. This is nothing short of perversion. It's nothing short of it. I recently did a story on a mother who came into one of these meetings as well. And she was explaining how her daughter came to her telling her, basically outing the teachers who had forced her to watch a boy change in the girls' locker room. She felt uncomfortable with this boy or pretend girl in there, and so she reported it to her teachers, hoping they would protect her because, you know, feminism, protect the girls. Well, it turns out that they were more interested in protecting the pretend girl, and so what did they do? You guessed it, they brought her back into the locker room to force her, and they shamed her for even having such thoughts. How dare you be such a bigot? You must be accepting of this pretend girl right here, right now. And you watch her as she expresses her femininity. These are the same exact vile individuals. When I use these words, vile, demonic, etc., I don't think they're exaggeration. I believe they're actually a little watered down. We need something more intense. Because I don't know how else to describe this in any human words, or at least any words in this language, in English. I don't have it. I don't have the vocabulary for it. Demonic, vile, disgusting, degenerate, evil. I think evil might be the best fit.
Nails through the plastic, like the legs of a crab, fingernailing her their way down my dick. She rose up, a little and adjusted her panties and breathed into her mouth. And her breath was like vegan fritters and farm animals, and her eyes were dark. And I saw them very clearly. Somehow, her hair was stiff.
So Shakespeare and Mark Twain are the sorts of books that were being pulled out of schools for being quote unquote racist and pushing white supremacy, etc. They are now dethroning the likes of a Thomas Jefferson and a George Washington, but yet this is what they're replacing it with. We have a 40% illiteracy rate in the United States. 40% of students between K through 12 cannot read at a basic level, but those who are being encouraged to read, this is what they're pushing to them. And the lefties are crying about the essentially the eradication of the Department of Education. This is what they're trying to preserve. This is what they're trying to protect. There are most teachers, I believe, truly do care, or at least there's a large percentage of teachers who care, who love their students. Some of them watch my content here, but they can't stand behind this either. And this ain't even to talk about what's happening in the classrooms, the level of disrespect teachers are under, etc. The animosity, you can't discipline kids no more. It's become a complete show. That's the only other way I can put it. And again, if there is no accountability on the part of the administrators and the part of those who are in charge of these things, then everybody in the middle is getting screwed.
With chlorine, and it itched like straw on my face. The moment she put me inside of her, I came. That exact moment, I said. And she curled up around her like a snail and kept about 100 times. And I said, until she said, shh, and pushed me back down onto my back and just lay on. And that is how it happened. And this is the book that we're keeping in the schools. Why does it matter? Allison was just here talking about sexual violence, and exactly books like this that normalize sexual violence. Many of the books that we challenged were sexually violent.
This woman is way too kind. She's way too kind. I don't know what y'all would do. Y'all can let me know. But I know that I would not sleep until every single one of those administrators, teachers, etc., sees the bottom of the jail. At the very least, is never again allowed to be in a classroom with children. How dare you? How dare you pretend to care about these kids? How dare you pretend to care about what's happening to young girls? And then this is the type of filth that you push onto them. This isn't SEX ed. This isn't education anymore. What y'all just read, this is worse than some of those the 50 Shades of Grey erotica type of books. Now, I haven't read any of them, but I'm pretty sure that there's no way they're getting into that level of detail unless you are in some type of grotesque stuff. If this is the type of stuff that's in there, then, you need to get right with your own spirit, because I don't know how you could even get through half of this. I'm listening to this as a grown man, and I can't even hear this fully out. And again, I'm going to have to make sure that most of these words are indeed censored. So for those who like to hear the whole entire thing, I'm going to make sure to link this below. But damn it, I had to bring this to the forefront, because if they don't get kept accountable, then nothing happens. And speaking of accountability, thanks to the libs of TikTok, we have a school district. This is who it is. So for those who might be associated, connected, affiliated, whatever it is, please look into these things. Parents, please, 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 I beg of you, do your main job when it comes to being a parent and investigate who the hell your kids are being exposed to and what. And when you have the opportunity, speak out against it and do something about it. I will continue to speak out on your behalf on my side and do everything I can, humanly possible, to make sure that these creeps do not get any access to our kids. But look at this. I haven't even seen the actual website itself. This is the district right here. Let me see if it will pop up anytime this year. They might know I'm on my way. Went through their page. They have not posted since 2024, and I wouldn't either, especially under this type of hot water. I wouldn't either. So anybody out there, here it is. Three Rivers School District, located in South Oregon. Of course it's in Oregon. Of course it's in Oregon. Where else would it be? Of course it's a super blue state. We cannot be afraid to call any of this out. We can't be afraid to get canceled. I used to be so terrified of being canceled for just telling the truth. But I said, you know what? I can't be right with myself if I know that I could have done something, I could have said something and I didn't. And that's why I do exactly what I do. So that being said, appreciate y'all for tapping into this one. This was not, an easy listen, especially knowing what the context is, but it's a job that has to be done on each of our parts. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.